We've saved a little pain in the backside twice, and now he starts spouting our achievements as his own. I think it's time we put him in his place. I'm Horizon Shield, bringing you the boss breakdown for Grey Prince Zote. I'll be breaking down this fight as if you face him in the Pantheon, as that is the hardest version you're going to be dealing with, unless you go for the 10 kills in Bretta's basement. Grey Prince Zote is an entirely optional boss who can be fought anytime after clearing the Colosseum, as long as you freed him twice before doing it. Once in Green Path, and once in Deep Nest, and after having freed Bretta. He's the only boss in the game that will not appear in the Pantheons of the God Home DLC if he is not fought, meaning he is entirely optional no matter what you do. So wander your way over to the statue of him in Bretta's basement. We're not going to touch how weird that is with the 10-foot pole. And let's make it easy. So what am I bringing to the fight? As I said before, I'm running on the assumption that you are either facing Zote, either just before or in the Pantheon. So you have the stuff you're going to want. Max health, max soul, any charms you want. If not, it's not a huge deal if it's the first time you're facing him, as he isn't a huge threat the first time around. So what charms am I using? You've got to love my determination to stick to my charms. I'm nothing if not consistent. Zote is a dream fight, so we get to stick with our Fragile Strength, Shaman Stone, Long Nail, and Quick Slash. I hope at this point you have a set that you like. I personally like to do as much damage as possible and as short as time as possible to end the fight just faster. If you made it to the Pantheons, remember that your charms have to stay the same through the fights before and after Zote. You've been warned. So on to the fight. What can Zote actually do? For as much as we laugh at Zote, Grey Prince Zote can prove to be a challenge. This is even more so the more times you face him in the basement or even during the Pantheons. He's difficult because his attacks don't have great telegraphs if they even have one at all. His body is one of the major enemies in the fight, and I'll go over how I personally manage it at the end of the moves. Let's get to it. He has a total of 6 real attacks, and I'll admit they can be a bit of a doozy the first time around the block. So here we go. The first attack is the Flail. He very literally charges at you, flailing his nail in front of himself. At the end of this attack, he falls to the ground, causing a shockwave on both sides, going to the end of the arena. This move has a very short telegraph of him raising his nail horizontally to the ground. He will always run at you, and he changes direction if you get behind him. To dodge this attack, you can either dash directly through him, or you can use a downward slash, or pogo as we like to call it. If you decide to dash through him, keep moving. He changes directions very quickly. I strongly suggest pogoing his head and his nail as it deals damage to him, and you don't have to wait for the Shade Cloak cooldown to dodge his attack. After a few seconds, he will fall to the ground, causing a low shockwave across the arena. You can jump over very easily if you happen to be on the ground. If you are in the air after pogoing Zote, you may get caught off guard when he falls. You can always use the Monarch Wings to double jump to give yourself some time. You can get 2 hits in without a problem. However, just keep in mind you may need to back off quicker because he may surprise run at you. It is also possible to use a Descending Dark on top of him to deal extra damage. I actually kind of recommend it. The second is the Zoteling Spit. Zote pauses and spits up to 3 Zotelings, mini mutated versions of Zote, to wander the arena and cause havoc. There are 2 versions of Zotelings, a hopping one and a flying one. When they are spawned, they are immobile for a second or 2. This is the time to get rid of them. If you are within a certain range, at least on the same frame, they will target the knight directly. You only need to hit them once to get rid of them. They are annoying because they will stay in the arena until you finally decide to take them out. In this fight, they are the priorities. Aim for them before he does his next move, otherwise you will be dealing with both attacks at the same time. The third attack is the Shadow Slam, the big boy butt slam of the fight. He does a standard leap and goes through the floor. He ends up above you during the large slam. That causes a shockwave to emit from him, and it requires a maximum height jump to get over it. You do not need a double jump to get over it, just a single jump does the trick. Just hold the button as long as you can, and you'll glide over it without a problem. So to dodge the attack, my personal favorite is to D-Dark as he is still in the air. The iframes from the spell will let you walk right through the shockwave with ease. There is a high chance that he will try to land directly on you or right next to you. So the D-Dark is great because it does damage and gives you the iframes to not have to deal with the shockwave. Otherwise, just feel free to hop over the shockwave and get a nail swing in or 2. Similar to the third, this fourth attack, the Nail Slam, causes shockwaves across the arena. but this one can be difficult to dodge unless you know how you are being targeted. Zote chooses where to slam by the location as he reaches the apex of his leap, and he targets you at that time. There's another version of this that is just as common, of him targeting you as he does the flip. You can manipulate where he slams down at by dashing as he reaches the top of his jump for both of these. Just make sure you have room to maneuver if he does retarget and flip. You may also notice that the shockwave in front of the nail is taller than the one traveling behind him. This is another reason why we try to manipulate the slam, so we can dash behind him if you can. This means that you don't have to jump as high and you don't have to put yourself in a vulnerable position if you choose to do that. He's vulnerable to attack after he slams down for an attack or two. Zote loves his 5th attack of the summoning of the bombs. These bombs happen to be volatile Zotelings that spawn across the arena and explode after a few seconds. Zote may use other attacks before they have actually exploded, and can cause a bit of chaos that can be hard to manage the first time you do the fight. One way to manage the bombs is to shoot them with a Shade Soul. This causes them to explode, but you can manage to hit multiple volatile Zotelings with a single Shade Soul. You can dodge this attack by either placing yourself out of range of the bombs, or even with a well-timed Descending Dark if Zote is using another attack at the same time, and dodging normally is not possible. My recommendation is to not try to fight near the edge of the arena, as you can trap yourself if he uses another attack, and you're going to probably get hit if he does that. It's easier said than done, however, as the arena is kind of small if you keep dashing back and forth for all the rest of the dodging. His final attack is his movement skill of Leap. Zote decides he doesn't like one part of the arena, and thinks the grass is greener exactly where you are. His landing causes small shockwaves to go out both ways. He jumps, targeting where the knight is, so I recommend dashing back and forth between 2 spots if he jumps more than once. Obviously, you have to jump over the shockwave, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. This is an attack that he isn't always available for an immediate counter because the follow-up attack is very quick, and Zote can actually chain a Shadow Slam from a regular leap, and there's no break in between for you to be able to hit them. If he does happen to not chain an attack, feel free to get an attack too, as he's kind of vulnerable. He just kind of stands there for a second. And then his one unofficial attack of him. That's right, he, himself, or more specifically, his hitbox, will be one of the main things that catches you off guard more than any other fight in the game. There are times in the fight where he will just randomly run. It doesn't seem like there is any specific time he does this, but if you're standing too close to him, he will easily catch you off guard and you are going to take unnecessary damage. Zote uses this to reposition himself around the arena regardless of where you are, so this means that he can either charge directly at you after one of his attacks, or he may just run off in the other direction. You never really know. It's kind of unpredictable, and this one movement is what actually makes this fight incredibly hard. If the worst happens and we get hit, when can we heal? This fight is very fast and there aren't many slow breaks. There's only one time to actually heal, and that's during a stagger. During Zote's stagger, there's a chance you can get 2 full heals off. He may not even let you get 2 heals on, depending on how fast you are to start healing. This fight's more about preventing damage than it is about healing it. So, how do we bring it together to finish the fight? Starting off the fight, do not try to rush at Zote. He can start off the fight by running directly towards you, meaning you're going to have to dodge no matter what. So just keep your distance at the start and see what he's going to do before you even try to make a play. Play smart, try to keep your distance, and only attack after he shows an opening. That's more or less the idea of the whole fight, or well, any of the more difficult fights in the game. You have to wait for them to make a move before you're able to do anything, but it's not that bad, because there are times where you can just kind of hit him. It's kind of nice. So wait for him to give you an opening and capitalize on it. There are going to be several points in the fight that he just runs directly away from you. They are opportunities for free hits. Thankfully, Zote has plenty of openings, and it's actually quite vulnerable for the majority of the fight. Remember that if he leaps, you should be using Descending Dark to prevent the damage of the Shadow Slam. Do your best not to get trapped on one side of the arena if you can. I know it's not always that easy. You may be forced over to one side, but do your best to try to get back to the center when you can. Take your time. It's not the end of the world if you get hit once. Remember to use the Descending Dark for the iframes. It can save your butt in any of the tight spots. If there was anything I missed during the fight, please let me know down in the comments. If it was helpful, feel free to like and subscribe for more Hollow Knight content. Until next time, happy hunting.